so we're here with Adam Bradley, and we've done this before, but since we're going over with everybody and we've got some new people, we are going to go back through some of the bio information.
Mhm.
So to start off with, you have been in Odessa for how long?
My entire life. So I was born in 1982. Yeah, I've been here since 1982. Born and raised.
OHS graduate?
Yes, ma'am.
Year?
2001.
All right. And your family?
Married to Candace Bradley. She's a school teacher here in the district, 6th grade math. And then I have 2 kids, Anna, who is, I had to think about that for a minute, 21, and then Cooper, who's 14.
Anna off in school?
Yep, she goes to school at Stevens College. She is in the nursing program there and plays volleyball. Just recently started playing again. She took a year off and is now back on the team.
How old did you say Cooper is now?
He's 14.
14.
Mm-hmm.
So is he a freshman?
He is an 8th grader currently.
8th grader. Here at OMS?
Yep, the middle school.
All right. And so OHS 2001, did you go on to any additional college after?
I did go to college at UMKC downtown in Kansas City. My dad worked there, so that was one of the big reasons I did go there. I did qualify for A+, but I really just wanted to go to a 4-year school. I don't remember exactly what my GPA was. I think it was around 3 my first year. And then I just realized that it wasn't a good fit for me. You know, I wanted to get out and become gainfully employed and start working. So that's what I did. So just 1 year of college experience. It was basically gen ed classes is what I took.
Okay. And so now for work, you have your own business.
Uh-huh. Yep. I own a construction company, Horizon Contracting here in Odessa. We been in business since 2010. I think we got incorporated in 2011 though. So for the last, roughly 15 years. And then Candace and I also own Totally Dog, which is a dog boarding, grooming, and daycare facility in Bates City, Missouri, just on the south side of the highway there. We opened that, I want to say in 21 is when our doors officially opened there. And then we have some rental properties, residential real estate and stuff around town that we lease out. And then obviously she's a school teacher as well. So.
All right. And organizations that you belong to?
I'm trying to think currently. What I think is just really the school board. So I'm not actively involved in, I say actively involved, actively serving on any other boards or groups. I still am, Candace and I are still really involved with youth wrestling and somewhat youth football, not as much. But, we own the Room here in town, which is an old daycare facility by Dyer Park that we completely renovated. I'm very fortunate that my wife allows me to do some of the crazy things that I want to do. And, I dreamt that up and she agreed to let me do it. So we turned that into basically a wrestling room. So we have mats upstairs and downstairs. And, the youth program, the youth football program stores all their equipment there, cheerleading, and then youth football stores, obviously their stuff. And then youth wrestling wrestles there. So, that's been nice. My wife is involved in Partners for Parks, and I do help a lot with that. I don't actively serve on the board, but I do help a lot. Just, extra help they need. So.
All right. It seems like they always need it. It always seems like there's more than just the board members at whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and then this is your end of your first term on the board?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. This will be my 3rd year.
And did you have prior experience with public boards prior to coming on?
So, yeah, I had served on the downtown board whenever that first got going. And I don't remember the exact timeline, date-wise of that. I want to say that was probably around like 2011, 12, 13. I don't remember the exact years, but Candace and I both served on that for a number of years. It's basically just trying to revitalize downtown Odessa. I was on the planning and zoning board here in Odessa, I want to say for 2 years, if I remember correctly. Then obviously when I moved out of town, I had to get off of that. So on the Little League football board for a number of years, maybe 5 or 6 years. I was on the Little League wrestling board for a number of years. So I did forget to mention things I'm actively currently serving on. I do serve on as a district rep for Missouri USA Wrestling. So I don't know if it's technically on their board or not, but I do serve as a district rep for Missouri USA Wrestling, the youth side.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'd ever really served on. Not that I recall. I think that pretty much is it. So.
All right. So why are you running for another term on the school board?
I don't have any specific agendas. I didn't last time that I ran. I enjoy it. It's, something a way for me to give back now that I'm not involved in some of the other things that I did do. When I first got into it, I was kind of like, it's meeting once a month. Like, it won't be too terribly much. There is actually a lot of work that goes into it, and people really don't realize, we get our packets the week before, which, discusses what we're going to, or has our agendas and, what we're going to discuss at the meeting. There's a lot to go through. So, there's, I don't know how many pages on average, but 100, so I usually take a full day, sometime between, when we get our packets on that Thursday or Friday through when our meeting is Tuesday evening, I'll take a whole day to do that, but to go over that. So I think it's important, to do that. That way you're prepared for the meeting and what's being discussed. And if you have questions or concerns or need to do a little bit of research before the meeting, then you can do that. But all in all, I enjoy it. It's a way to give back to the community. I love the kids and I love Odessa. So.
All right. And so what about you do you think makes you a good school board member?
I would say that my best attribute is probably having an open mind and even being willing to admit sometimes when maybe I'm wrong about something. So I think that's important as a school board member to listen to all the facts and all the point of views and be willing to change your mind. If somebody makes a valid point about something, you're like, you know what, that really makes sense. So I would say, I can't think of any specific instances where that has happened to me since I've been on the board, but I do feel like I'm pretty level-headed, and willing to listen to people. So that's probably the biggest part of it.
All right. And so how do you feel about the district's current direction?
Really good. Really, really good. Specifically, I would say with just where we are with our curriculum. It's, when I first got onto the school board, I didn't really know about, I guess I did know about curriculum and what it was and how it works, but I didn't really realize that we had so many gaps in areas. And I would attribute really to where we are right now is to even the people before me. So, things don't happen in a matter of 1 or 2 or 3 years. They really take a lot of time, especially when you're trying to dial things in and really sharpen your tools. It takes years and years to get to that point. And curriculum-wise, as far as how our kids move through the district, from the elementary school to the upper elementary to the middle school to the high school, I feel like there were some pretty big disconnects before based on, the things that I've been through. That those gaps are really tight right now. Like, and I would say, and I can't speak for all the board members, but me individually, I say a big part of that boils down to the staff that we have, the administration and staff. I feel like Dr. O does a really good job leading that. Miss Smith taking over, or Mrs. Smith, she's done an amazing job with it. I just feel like we're in a really good spot with our curriculum.
All right. And how would you describe your vision for the district?
Like boiled down into a paragraph or maybe just a couple sentences?
However you best want to go over it.
Okay. I would say, my vision would be that, every kid, no matter what your financial status is or what your last name is or, who you are, whether you've been here for a long time or a short amount of time, that everyone deserves an equal chance to get an education. And then along that, not even necessarily get an education, but also to be like included and feel like they're part of something. That's what I really like about Odessa is we have, even in the time that I've been on, there's been a lot of extracurricular things that have came up, that the board has approved to allow our students to be a part of and do. And I'm a big proponent for those extracurriculars, and not just sports, like esports, stuff with band, There's just been so many things like that we've approved and allowed to do, and I think it's important that all these people get an opportunity to get an education, participate in these extracurriculars, and just be a part of something. So a lot of these kids need those extracurriculars more so than the extracurriculars need them, if that makes sense. So.
All right. So what issues do you feel are most important to the district right now?
I would say the number one issue for me, at least, is the elementary school. I mean, I'm glad that we are finally attempting to move in a direction to do something with that. I hope that the constituents, understand fully exactly where our district is with that school. It's in not completely to a point where like it's not safe, but it is not an ideal learning environment for our kids. And I'm thankful that we've got these ballot issues coming up, and I'm hopeful that the constituents, community members, know how desperate that is for our kids. So I say desperate. I guess I should say know how important it is for our kids.
Okay. So you are supporting the plan for the new elementary as it's been presented.
Oh, yes.
Just to go over, make sure that statement is
100% supporting it. And I think it's important for people in the community to know the amount of property that Candace and I own within the county and, within the district specifically. This is going to affect me tremendously. It is, for lack of a better term, it's going to cost me a lot of money, and it's not just one house, it's a lot of houses. So, I'm not trying to convince anybody to buy in and say, hey, you should do this. But, I'm on board. I'm willing to pay a little extra to make this happen for our kids. Not just my kid. Like I said, my kid's in 8th grade. He's got 4 years left. I'm talking kids that are in school now. They're kids. You know what I mean? They're going to benefit from it, and the next kids. I mean, you got to think, how long has this elementary school been around? I don't know the exact date, but I want to say somewhere to the tune of 70 years. Am I correct in saying that? I could be wrong, but
the 50s are where. So
that's what I'm thinking.
Yes-ish.
Yeah. So it's been a very, very long time. So you got to look. We do this now. This is kids. 50 years from now are still going to be benefiting from this. So, yeah.
All right. Any other that you wanted to go over, issues wise?
For me, I'm not really excited about where our ECSE class is, or ECSE, or is it C?
Early childhood special education.
There you go, E. Yeah. With I'm very thankful that we have the church. Obviously it's important. It's way better than a lot of the buildings that we had before. But ultimately, for me, I would love to see that come onto district ground somewhere in an actual like building that was designated for them. Like I said, we're very thankful for the church. They've given us the opportunity to lease that building for our kids. But I just realize how important it is for early intervention for those students, and I would like for them to be in their own building. Ultimately,
so they're in the basement of the Church of Christ,
yeah,
correct?
Mm-hmm, yeah. And like I said, it's not a terrible situation. Like, it's pretty good. Our teachers love it there. Like, it's been an excellent fit. But I just feel like we can do better in that area. And I feel like if somebody were like, hey, Adam, where are you at, as far as what would we need to do within the district? Like, what would be the next step after the elementary school? I'm like, we should probably do something with that situation. Remember, I'm one of 7, though. So it's not just what Adam wants. It's what what the group wants as a whole. So, and obviously we're relying on, district administration to somewhat lead us, and give us pointers too. I mean, it's the board's decision, but we're counting on allowing the people who are in charge of running the district to do their job as well.
So is that something that you're looking at in terms of the reuse of what will be left or what has been deemed usable?
There have been discussions about that, yeah, and I know that the focus group that was put together for the elementary school, as far as deciding if it was going to be at the current elementary site or up out next to the upper elementary, had mentioned potentially, if part of that building was still good, like could it potentially be used for something like that? I'm 100% on board for that if it makes sense,
All right. And if you don't have any more, I've got my list of what I'm going over with everybody.
Okay.
So we've talked about the elementary plan. How are you feeling about the test scores?
I feel like it's constantly improving. So just at our last meeting, we went over, our iReady, and you really need several years, 3 to 4 years of history on that to kind of see where you're at and how things are working. Based on what I saw at our last meeting, I feel really good about where we're going and the direction that we're headed. I know that it sounds like people look at that APR score and they're like, okay, like, what are we going to do now? You say it takes time. That's never the answer that anybody wants to hear, obviously. But like I talked about earlier with curriculum and the staff and teachers doing what they need to do in order to get those things in line, it's coming. There's no doubt in my mind that we are going to see it on the test score side, as far as this will pay off. We're in a much better position with our curriculum now than we ever have been. And I feel 100% confident in saying that.
So you talk about the iReady test scores, which are internal.
Yep, it's basically a test that the kids take, at different intervals throughout the course of the year. And those kids, they can narrow this down to grade level. They can narrow it down to class, and they can narrow it down to individual student. So when you come in first part of the year, they show, you either what you're getting ready to learn or you don't know. Most of the time they don't know because they haven't learned it. But over the course of the year, when the kids take these assessments, they can see the growth. So they can see, like, at this point, we were here. At this point, say we were a year below on grade level, and then here we're like we're close. We're on grade level, and then maybe some kids get above grade level. So I like the fact that you can see this on each individual student. So at parent-teacher conferences, the parents are getting where their kids are academically. And you may have kids, I know sometimes it seems like kids are really, really good in ELA and not so good in math, or really good in math and not good in ELA. I don't know why that is. My own kids were that way. But they can really narrow this down. Like, what does this kid need in order to be better in math? It's really good stuff.
Right. But year over year, my question was more about the MAP scores, which do feed into that APR score, and how you feel about how the district has done on those MAP scores.
Yes. So I don't know exactly. I can't recall exactly without you telling me, like, how our MAP scores were last year and then this year. I do know that they did go down, I believe. I don't know the exact numbers or what down, and I know that our APR score is not good right now. There are a multitude of factors that go into that APR score. I couldn't tell you exactly everything that goes into it, but I can say that there are some things that I feel like aren't really fair for certain districts, if that makes sense. For instance, your kids, you could have every kid in your school get 100%. The next year, if every kid gets a 95%, still an A, obviously, but your score can go down in that area. That just seems absurd to me. Obviously, that's an extreme example because no school is getting 100%. But you have to show improvement, and if you don't show improvement, even if your school is at a very high level, then your score gets decreased. And I don't know if that's exactly why our APR score went down. And I know that you're specifically asking about these test scores, but it's difficult for me to answer on those because I don't know exactly what the scores were, from year to year. And MAP scores are very difficult because you get them really late. Are you familiar with how they come out?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like iReady where a kid takes a test and we can look at it pretty much instantly and see where we're at. It takes the state a long time for those results to come back. So it's like if a kid wasn't where he needed to be in this subject or this subject matter of this subject a year ago, you're just now kind of letting me know. And like we've been in school already a year. So it's like, it's not really, not even not really, it's not a good tool based on that, in my opinion. It just takes so long. Okay. I do have faith, just like I said earlier, in what we're doing now. It takes time to see the fruits of the labor, but there's no doubt in my mind that we will be seeing that. And when I say labor, I'm specifically talking about where we are with our curriculum, the things that we're doing with iReady, those types of things. So I have heard, I don't know if you read, I'm sure you read the legislative stuff through the state of Missouri, but they're going to come out with a new scoring system. It seems like something changes with that all the time, every couple of years. I don't know what that's going to be. And there's been, I think, potentially talks too of something other than the map. And I've heard rumblings that potentially it could be iReady. I don't know for sure that it will be or not, but I do think that we're going to have some different testing there. And I think that the way that they rank schools with this APR system now is going to be different in the future. And I would say probably the near future. So, and I don't want to dismiss, our current scores. I'm just saying that I don't think that it's an ideal situation. Even in the future, I don't know that's going to be an ideal situation. I think ultimately, if iReady is kind of what we are banking on right now, and it is a good system, we can see our kids' growth and where we are, and we know that our kids are getting educated. That's important.
Okay. All right. And so do you feel the district is doing enough to deal with the teacher shortage?
Yeah, I would say even my time on the board the last few years, I felt like there's been a lot less people leaving and coming in. So, 3 years ago when I first got on the board, I just feel like we were inundated with people that were leaving. I feel like that's decreased every year. And I do feel like the district has done a better job of filling those spots quicker. So we don't have instances where, we're having school board meetings in July or August where there's spots that really aren't filled. So even down to like, it just doesn't have anything to do with teachers, but even just like the bus barn with having enough, bus drivers, I feel like that's been good too, that Dr. Fagan's done an amazing job of, making sure that we're staying on top of that. I mean, the problems that we were having with the bus stuff, employee-wise and stuff, at the beginning of when I served my first 3 years, or this term here, we just don't have it. We have adequate help. So.
Okay. So there's several. You mentioned a curriculum overhaul or the accreditation overhaul, which I had not included in this list, but there's several things affecting schools that are before the state legislature. I kind of got a speed run here of some of the different issues that get brought up. Several of them have been brought up at board meetings for 3 or 4 months now. So the first one is open enrollment, and how you feel about that one.
Personally, for me, I am not a fan of it. I just don't like it. I don't think that it's good for public education. I can understand someone potentially that lives within a district that, is just not a good fit for their child. And then essentially, if they don't have the money to go pay for private school, then they're like stuck. But at the same time, I think that it would put a lot of stress on school districts that see influxes of kids. I do think it would get messy too with extracurriculars. What does that look like as far as kids transferring just to go play a specific sport or compete in a specific extracurricular? Because I think that's definitely going to happen. And how do you dial that in? I don't know. I don't have the answers to that. I just think it's messy.
All right. The other one kind of related but kind of different would be that vouchers, public or private school situation side of it.
I feel the same way about that I do about open enrollment. So I don't think it's a good fit for public education.
All right. Foundation formula overhaul.
As far as
the process that they're undergoing right now to rewrite the formula that determines how much money the schools get.
Oh, I mean, I think schools are always battling legislatures for public education. I think that anybody can see that it seems like they're not a huge fan of public education and they would love nothing more than to go away from it. As far as a school, remember, what can you do to, I don't think there's a lot that we can do to rectify it. It's important for people to voice their opinions and, let our legislatures know if we're happy about something or not happy, or we agree or disagree. I know that there's been a couple instances as a school board member where I've been part of an approval process that we've sent letters to the legislature on behalf of the school district. I think it's important that school districts do that. You got to be looking out and for your own interests and make sure that you're in a position to take care of the kids that you do have within your district.
All right, and then the last one is kind of the big one, which is the proposal to eliminate the state income tax, which I know that you all were given a pretty big number for how much of the school's budget that would affect.
Yeah, I'm 100% against that as well. I think ultimately it looks good because everyone's like, oh yeah, less tax. I would save a tremendous amount of money, obviously. It's just not what's good for public education. And where does the money come from? What's the answer to that? Once again, what are the legislatures like? Where does that money come from? It just doesn't come out of thin air. So then it has to come from somewhere else. And where does it come from? I don't know what the answer is to that.
All right. Any other issues that came to mind as we went over the list that you'd like to go over?
Nope, I don't believe so.
Okay. So that takes us just to the magic wand question. You have the magic wand, no practicalities, no worrying about budgets or state shortfalls or anything like that. You wave the magic wand and you can add any program to the district that doesn't already exist. What is it?
Any program?
Any program. I think I've only done one of these interviews. I might have said you can add anything.
Anything? Okay.
Yeah.
It would be a building for ECSC.
Okay.
Yep. 100% without a doubt. Those kids deserve, and teachers deserve, to be on a district site close to the other schools in a building just as nice as all the others. And like I said, I don't want to downplay what the church has done for us because I'm very grateful for them. What they've allowed us to do with that program. We've grown and got a lot of kids in there that probably wouldn't be in there if we did not have their facility. So I am very, like I said, very, very thankful for them. But if I had one magic wand, that's exactly what I would say be done.
All right. Anything else that you think people need to know about you to understand you as a candidate for re-election?
No, I would just say, I try to treat people fairly, and I feel like everyone deserves a chance, no matter who you are. So.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Turn you.